Hey Tenno, this is Mako, and we're gonna go over Ash, the ninja Warframe. Now, he's had a bit of, rework, so keep this in mind. I'm gonna cover all his powers as they are now, as well as my own tactics and play with him. So first up, his passive. His passive is as such: if you apply a bleed proc, you get further duration and damage, meaning more ticks of slash bleed proc. Now, bleed is applied when you deal a heavy slash damage or any type of slash damage, so you can use it primary, secondary, or melee, or even with Ash's powers. If the bleed procs are applied, they can bypass armor, shields, making it effective against really any enemy type. Now, Seeking Shuriken allows you to throw two shuriken that go out and attack enemies in the head pretty much. So you get a bit of a headshot bonus majority of time, but also it applies bleed proc. Your second power, Smoke, allows you to be undetected, while being able to apply Stealth Multiplier, which further amps up your bleed procs as they carry over. Now, the third power is Teleport. You teleport behind an enemy and do a finisher type attack. Now with its augment, you buff this up further by 200%. I rather like that augment, that's the one I use on him. Your fourth power is Bladestorm. When you apply Bladestorm, you activate it on a toggle on. You will apply these marks. The more marks you get, the more times you will attack that enemy. Now, you can get a max amount of 3 marks per target. Now, one of the things I do like about this is it amps up your melee combo multiplier. The further that gets amped, the more damage you do with him, meaning more bleed procs. Combining all these powers in conjunction can make him pretty tactically very strong in terms of solo play or with a team play. One of the things I really focus on, if there's a big enemy, I'll just do a teleport and focus on them, and then use Bladestorm to, spam the mod. Now let's talk about some mechanics. I select the Telos Boltus because they have a guaranteed AoE of slash, which applies a bleed proc guaranteed. With Ash's passive, this is just further, buffed. Now, I do use a primed reach with this because it deals a higher area of effect for slash, but one of the other things I like is with that higher range of primed reach, I can hit with the Telos Boltus themselves and not just their effect. So what I'll do is I'll do an AoE of slash, come in with Bladestorm to get the combo counter up, and then I'll hit them with the Telos Boltus themselves, not just focusing on the slash effect. As you can see, I'll run to the group and then they'll get hit. Then you'll see the Blood Rush apply via a red counter, because I have Maiming Strike and Blood Rush up. Now, the slash effect does not pull from Blood Rush or your combo counter, but the actual Telos Boltus does. So that's why I say, think of it as a saturation. If they get hit with the outer edge, they get slash. If they hit in the middle, they just get huge damage. Up to 150,000, I believe. Yep, there you go, 150,000. Yep, there again. It's really OP in terms of how much damage you can do with this if you build them right. So instead of just focusing on the slash, which slash is nice, and especially with Ash, doing that saturation effect, getting the bleed procs all over the place, they're getting weak, it's bypassing armor, it's bypassing shields, and then coming in for the kill with just the direct hit of the Boltus themselves is rather OP. Now, one of the reasons I like the Boltus is because when you apply Fatal Teleport, it has really quick animation, but no matter what your choice of melee is, I would definitely recommend getting Body Count or Drifting Contact because Ash's Bladestorm does pull from your combo counter. Keeping that combo counter up via those mods is rather useful. Now, I do like the Mutilus Senros because I do like applying Blast and Corrosive. I found out with Ash's Bladestorm there's kind of a bit of a synergy with that. Now, I don't really focus on range, more efficiency, duration, and kind of damage to a point, so keep that in mind, Tenno. Now, I like the Mutilus Senros because it does this arrow shooting effect that when the arrow shoots out, a spore or two, depending on your multi-shot, will come and land onto the point of contact of arrow. Now, if the arrow is hit and then the enemy goes behind a wall, they'll hit the wall. So keep that in mind. You have to be tactically when you're applying this. So what I'll do on heavy enemies, I'll hit them with the arrow and then do Bladestorm. What I found out is if you apply Bladestorm onto an enemy that's being downed as such, they'll be attacked and your clones will start attacking, and you can walk around and do stuff while your clones are dealing all the damage. So you can further keep attacking them while the Bladestorm is up. This is really very strong in terms of you don't have to, be trapped in the animation while this is going on. You can just keep hitting them with your arrow, letting your clones do the work. Now Ash applies 2 clones, so keep that in mind. You can have 2 clones spamming a bunch of enemies while you're sitting there shooting them with arrows, or the Tellus Voltus. It's rather effective, actually. That's why I kind of found this, rather fun. Now, if you didn't want to sit there and have your Bladestorm clones working on them, even though Bladestorm can be really energy efficient, you could just use Fatal Teleport, the augment that applies 200% damage.